Koi to Uso, or Love and Lies, is the summer 2017 adaptation of the manga by the same name and features a concept that I haven't seen as often as I would think. Koi to Uso features a futuristic Japan that leverages their population by forcing everyone to conform to the government selection process. Or, in other words, everyone gets assigned to a partner and they must marry that partner. It reminds me very much of another manga that I had read that I will now butcher the name, Sore wa Touzen Unmei no Aite ga, or And Then Suddenly My Partner of Fate, Suddenly the Marriage Partner Showed Up, which is a title that I didn't make up, but holy shit that title. But yeah, it's the same concept where the government uses scientific genetic information to determine the best pairing for children, and this concept is also shared in live action in the movie Everything Before Us by Wongfu Productions, which uses government regulations and a scoring system to determine relationships. However, in all of these stories, there's always a reluctance in the system. Koi to Uso is no different, with the main character outright hating the system and wanting nothing to do with it, even going on a vow to never get married. But at the end of the day, even comrades know that their fates are sealed and they wait and hope to see who they'll get assigned to. At the end of the day, the government regulates love and the lies become reality. And that idea is an interesting proposition for me, the way that the love and the lies being told are manipulated into truth, all because of a law. And the main character seems to very much be in this constant battle of the law, disliking the system it's set in place and frustrated by the idea that he can't truly be with the one he loves. But I say all that in air quotes, with the one he loves? Who really is that? The law seems to be the one determining such factors using science, but love is supposed to be a feeling devoid of that, isn't it? Love for me is supposed to be a more raw emotion, something that can deface all hopes of rationality in humans. The law seems to be an egregious factor of society, but is it really such a bad thing?
この政策により少子化に歯止めがかかり、生まれてくる子供の能力も以前に比べ向上した。
Nejima, the main character, ends up having his assigned partner by the end of episode 1, that of which is not the person who he actually loves. And due to law, he should just drop his affections for Takasaki and just go on his way with Selena, but he doesn't, instead finding this weird middle ground where he's technically breaking the law. What I find interesting about all of this is that they can't seem to escape the law. They can work against it in the shadows, but their efforts are for naught. Selena says she doesn't like Nejima in any way. She went into that whole meeting not expecting much.
私、絶対嫌だから。
And it seems like she still doesn't expect much, but her words don't line up. She says that she doesn't yet know what she likes about Nejima. Not that she has no reason, but it has yet to come up. She expects to, and I find this kind of expectation to be somewhat telling of how the system is set up to be. That even if you don't love someone now, you're expected to. That you eventually will because the law tells you to. And this is even more cemented in episode 3. When Takasaki tells Alina that even if she doesn't see anything in Nejima now, that it may change in time. Nejima and Takasaki apparently have a mutual love for each other, but Nejima is still reluctant to do anything with Takasaki despite already having confirmed his feelings. He still worries about Alina and he even questions his actions with Takasaki. But you guys already confirmed that you love each other, so that should be right. It should be something you do. I mean, you already did it in the first episode anyway. This isn't love. Why is it so hard to pretend? Well, you guys do love each other, both of you. You guys said it in the first episode, so why are you so reluctant? Why are you getting cold feet, Nejima? That's what I want to know. And that's exactly the point I think the show's bringing up. These people, for one reason or the other, love each other. Do I think it's a very sound and reasonable reason? Not really, no. I think the show lacks in that department, among other things. Love either hits you like lightning or takes a long time to develop, and it's easy to see what Koi to Uso is trying to portray here. But despite what they may feel now, despite the lies they had to tell to the people around them, they still are bound to something that they can't escape from. From the moment they were born, their fates were destined to be decided by the government, and I feel like Takasaki is the only one who's really taking that seriously. She's the one who tried to play by the books. Nejima right now is in this weird middle state where he's trying to uphold the fact that the law told him to marry Lena, or at least pretends to, but is still reluctant on loving Takasaki. For me, it feels like he has his feet in both camps, and of course Lena is up in the air, but might slowly believe in Takasaki's word. And I feel like she will. Lena will probably start to find something that she actually likes about Nejima, and eventually she will be bothered about all the scheming she's doing. Eventually the lie she upheld, the lie of having to marry Nejima, will become reality. But I can't say that for sure. After all, I haven't read the manga and I don't know what will happen in this anime, but the show's title is Love and Lies. The characters who are supposedly in love with each other and had so much traction before the law came into effect are now not in love with each other. Or I think it's fair to say that they suddenly can't love each other, but they still do. Their actions and words show that they still do, but they can't. They're bound by law. At the end of the day, even if they don't love their partners, they have to marry them. That is the law. Here's a world where your own mutual feelings don't matter, where to solve a crisis that's already been solved, the new generation is punished. But again, is it really such a punishing thing to have the system manipulate lies? That's kind of the problematic villain in this entire thing. This law that's supposed to regulate birth rates, which sure, does sound like it might work in a perfect world, but clearly not everyone is going to be down for it. But if you were born into a society like that, where you're raised in a way that teaches you that this is okay and seeing your parents have a successful family, I feel like you might start believing in the system, just a little. That's the kind of person I see Takasaki as, a believer of the system. She believes that the system chose Lelina for a reason and encourages her to love Najima, as clearly she can't. The system didn't allow for it. The system regulates who you love and knows best for you. Sounds pretty damn oppressive if you ask me, and in episode 2 we even get this really characterizing moment for the both of them that does kind of prove that they do mesh. Lelina is this character who's inert, a cold character, and a socially awkward character who's the way she is because of how she is, but Najima is a simple-minded person. He doesn't really see the complexities of all of that, and he's able to speak his mind to Lelina, and even claims that he isn't good at speaking to other girls, despite holding his own with Lelina. He doesn't speak very well to other girls, not even to the one who he likes. He likes someone else. Lelina is his lie, and yet the system chose them together. His love is elsewhere, somewhere in the ether, but maybe the system does know what it's doing after all then. This law that these characters hate because they're stripping away their freedom to love actually sounds like an anti-hero, if any day. And yes, I am personifying a law. After all, they even named the law the Yukari Law, which so happens to be Najima's name. Weird world, right? But yeah, this law who regulates your love for you is something done out of cold, hard science, but it's working, from what I can tell. Yes, Najima might have feelings for Takasaki, but again, what reason is there? It's an unrequited love from like, what, 10 years or something? And it's a love that never developed because apparently they never talked at all. I wouldn't be surprised if the system thought that they wouldn't be a good match, because it sure doesn't seem like it. The characters who have the most chemistry right now are the ones who are supposedly against this whole thing, and are also the characters taking it the slowest in terms of affection. Najima and Takasaki have definitely jumped the gun in terms of what I feel like is proper romantic progression by straight up kissing and continually doing so regardless of any proper development. For me, it just feels really wrong and weird to see them like this. It feels less like love and more like infatuation. Infatuation is the worst killer of all things of Shakespeare and the worst kind of love, since infatuation really is just more of a physical and short-timed attraction. It's not really a romantic love. Say it to yourself enough times though and it might actually become real, which is what I feel like someone like Najima is trying to do. Right now, all things considered, he's still very much upholding this law, probably because he has to, but he's still playing by its rules and still taking the effort to hang out with Lelina, which is something he doesn't need to do. The love that Najima and Takasaki apparently have just feels so forced, and I feel this even more when Takasaki says that she finds it hard to lie to her heart. What I think she means is that it's hard to tell her heart that she doesn't love Najima, but why does she need to force that feeling away? Why does she need to force love away? I reckon because she believes that the law will tell her the right love she's supposed to have, and with her character being the way it is, I feel like she'll believe in the law more than herself, which is why she's so strung up. But again, the law isn't a malevolent force, but a force that's pushing you in the right direction using a wrong method, which is why all the characters are so conflicted against it despite their actions leaning for the law anyway. You know, I don't think I've heard Najima say so far that he isn't going to marry Lelina, even in his own monologues. He hasn't even considered marrying Takasaki either, and yet he's supposed to love her, right? Takasaki really does seem to believe in the system, and yet even she gets swept up by the whole thing. After all, even she has her own feelings to keep in check, and we don't yet know if she has a partner yet. She doesn't have an excuse to cast off her feelings. I feel like that she'll develop feelings soon enough for whoever the mystery partner she gets, but I also feel like the show will keep that scum-wish almost NTR going, and Najima will still hold on to that weird middle state he's in. In the end, if the Yukari Law is the anti-hero, Najima's the villain. He'll hurt everyone around him because he either wants to love Takasaki or he wants to love Lelina because the law told him so. But he doesn't know what to do in the wake of finding out what true love is and how to deal with the law and the likes. But again, the law is a scientifically proven mechanism. It's not evil, and more than likely it knows better than the characters and are making decisions for the characters for their benefits, not to sabotage some notion of true love that's barely being tied together by anything more than sexual frustration. If they just listened to the law, they might not be having all these problems, but emotions run strong, which is apparently something that they understand. They are right now really running on emotions, and the law is trying to balance that with actual facts, which is almost working with Lelina and Najima. They kind of have a really good rapport right now, and with someone like Takasaki who he can barely speak to, it just feels wrong, and again, it feels really forced. This is going to shape out to be an interesting watch of manipulation and lies, and I'm interested to see how the show will shape up, to see whether they'll listen to the love they still don't really fully understand or succumb to the lie that they live. Or maybe it'll be a mix of the two, a mix of love and lies.